Hello, all, and thank you for joining me for another episode of Baddie Rising, hosted by yours truly, Lilah Rhea Violetta. You know, I'm just a girl of unsignificant proportions. I'm not an expert by any means necessary. I am just a person who has been on the spiritual journey for about 1 year now, and I've learned a lot about myself, and I've worked with my shadow self. I have been through the dark night of the soul. What I hope to bring to you guys in this episode today is clarity of how to work with your shadow self. If you are familiar with this term, you are probably on spiritual TikTok or witch talk, as I like to call it. It is a hot fucking topic, okay? But you know what? It is very glamorized. So I'm just going to jump right the fuck into it about what my definition of shadow work is, how I've worked with my shadow self to become the most authentic version of myself, really. And the first thing I can tell you about shadow work is it is the hardest thing you will ever have to do. Facing your own demons, your own insecurities, your repressed fears, it's not a simple task. From my own experience, like I said, I'm not a fucking expert, but I was using drugs ever since I was 13 years old. And I had some messed up stuff happen to me when I was young as 3 years old. I got sober last year after being roofied on my birthday. And that truly shook things up for me. You know, I've been assaulted before, like trigger warning for SA. I have been sexually assaulted before. This is not the first time that this has happened to me. But last year was the last time. After that happened, after I got roofied, I started to spiral more out of hand. I'm not going to touch on it too much, but I got to my breaking point. My life was truly spiraling out of control. I was ruining my life. I was ruining relationships. I was in repetitive toxic cycles with the same type of men over and over and over again. I kept making the same mistakes over and over and over again. Although it is not my fault that I was assaulted, but I was repressing unhealed trauma that I just did not want to face. And what happens when you repress trauma and the unhealed parts of your psyche, it's similar to a boiling pot of water. You keep boiling up, then you're gonna overflow at some point. And I've had I've done a lot of fucked up shit, I'm not gonna lie. But after being roofied and trigger warning date raped on my birthday, that set something off inside of me. I did not want to face it. I continued to drink, do coke afterwards, and it wasn't until months later that I actually decided to get sober. I was like, you know what? My life, there's nothing left for me. I was at rock fucking bottom, and I started to get sober. And in turn, I had my spiritual awakening, which is also very fucking difficult. People like to glamorize spiritual awakenings and shadow work. In reality, let's talk about how nitty-gritty and fucking dirty it is. It's fucking nitty-gritty. It's dirty. It's it's hard to fucking talk about all the shit we repress, you know? So that's just a little bit about my experiences. I do have like my own specific system on how to work with your shadow self, which I'm just going to give a little brief definition. So Carl Jung, psychology fucking daddy, was the one who brought the idea of the archetype of the shadow self into Western civilization. Mind you, shamans have been working with their shadow selves for over thousands of years. In the East, they are well aware of working with the shadow self. And what is the shadow self, really? It's an archetype. It is a part of our mental, it's a part of our psyche. It's also a part of our spiritual self, a part of our soul. All of the traits of our personality that we deem unlikable and unlovable, that we think that people will not love us for who we are, so we hide these parts of ourselves or we act like they don't exist. For example, like, I want to start a podcast forever, but you know what? My shadow self was getting in the way because I've been working through a fear of rejection from a lot of things, you know, like high school, being rejected by my peers, being bullied, called a slut, being called a plethora of names. And I am not perfect. I'm not saying I'm fucking perfect. I've had my moments. But basically, when you start to feel triggered, I want you to sit with it. The next time you feel triggered, I want you to sit with it. Now, what we normally do is when something upsetting arises in our life situation, we want to push it away. Let's drink, let's smoke, let's just make it go away, let's pretend it's not there. Well, guess what? The fucking elephant is still in the motherfucking room. You're just not acknowledging it. It's as simple as acknowledging the uncomfortability of sitting with yourself. For example, like, I was a very artistic child. This is just an example of how unhealed shadow work, if you do not do the shadow work, that it can start to manifest problems in your day-to-day life. For example, I was in second grade. My teacher, I drew a dinosaur for this one book that we were making about dinosaurs, whatever, not the point. But she basically crumpled up my drawing of a dinosaur and threw it away. And so it might be something little like that, but trauma can happen from little things like that. From that, it's like I deemed my artwork as never good enough. So that's why I have a kind of a perfectionist kind of kink. Like, I take everything to the extreme, and it's like I strive for perfection, even though that's literally like impossible. No one's fucking perfect. And that kind of made it hard for me to express myself artistically and truly just be myself, you know? So like, you don't have to go through something as significant as sexual assault to have all these wounds that you don't want to deal with, that you repress, that your shadow self is just screaming at you to like, pay attention to this. Now, I heard this woman say triggers are our best fucking friends. And I did not like that. When I first heard that, I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? Triggers fucking suck. You know, like, who the fuck wants to feel triggered? Not me. But you know what? It shows us the part of ourselves that are unhealed that we need to acknowledge and that we need to show love to. That is working with the shadow self. Shining light, it's funny. Shining light on the darkest parts of our psyche, of our personality, is how we are going to heal. And it's how we are going to be the best versions of ourselves, because we can get in our own way all the time. That song by Lit, My Own Worst Enemy, that has been my theme song for my life. No fucking joke, because I get in my own way. I start to feel like I'm not good enough. I procrastinate because I'm scared of putting my artwork out there. When in reality, it's like, I'm just being hard on myself. It doesn't mean that I'm not good enough. It's because I don't think I'm good enough, because I have shit that I haven't dealt with from when I was a child, like rejection wounds, like my parents not always being around, so I craved attention from a very young age. I was, trigger warning, sexually assaulted since the age of 3. Multiple times over years and years and years. And my brain literally didn't let me remember it. I pushed it so hard deep inside me, and I used drugs and alcohol to cover it up. And then I ended up going through the same cycles over again and again and again until you finally decide, like, no, I have to deal with this shit. So I have my own 5 steps of how to do shadow work. I want to simplify it because it can sound so fucking hard, so overwhelming. Like, where the fuck do I start? Step number 1, identify the trigger. So the next time I'm telling you that you feel triggered, I want you to not push it away. I want you to sit with it, and I want you to feel it. And step number 2, I want you to kind of journal or just think to yourself, where is this coming from? What is unhealed within myself that this is making me feel very uncomfortable? If someone made a comment about you that was harmless, but you take it to heart, most likely you are projecting onto that person, and there is a part of you that is unhealed. And now I just want to put this out there. I'm not saying you should do this all on your own. If you need a therapist or a buddy to do this with, by all means. I do not think you should have to work on unhealed trauma by yourself. I've been to therapy for many, many years. I'm starting therapy again soon. I've done EMDR. I've done trauma processing. You cannot do everything on your own. So if you need help, seek out a counselor. Try BetterHelp, call a hotline. I know sometimes it can be hard to get mental health help if you don't make enough money. So I literally just got approved by Medicaid for free fucking healthcare. Thank fucking God. It's been months because I'm 26 now and I got kicked off my dad's insurance. Anyway, point is, you don't have to do everything on your own. Now, where I was going with that before, step number 2, I want you to kind of dive deep into your trigger and be like, where is this coming from? Shine a light on that trigger. And then you'll start to see, like, oh, like, maybe it was because this happened to me when I was younger, or I was in a toxic relationship, and they were very abusive, or it might just be something small, like you just being made fun of in school. It can be little fucking things, people, but I want you to invite in that uncomfortability and sit with that. Okay. That was a lot. Okay, step 3. I want you to start to show that part of you that you deem unlovable with love. I want you to shine light on it. I want you to start to bring love into the situation. Start to love that unhealed part of yourself and be like, you know what? Yeah, that may have happened to me, but that does not define who I am. I am not my trauma. And you know what? I love that part of me. I love that version of me that went through all that fucked up shit. Because you need to have love for that past version of yourself, or you won't be able to heal properly. And healing is an ongoing journey. It's not just a one-stop fucking shop, which I forget all the time. You need to keep going. It never ends. It's a lifelong process. And like I said, I'm not a fucking expert or anything. I'm just telling you what I've been through. Because what I hope to do is to help other people who are hurting and are unhealed, that are not being their most authentic self, is because you are scared to be your most authentic self. And it's still a process for me. You know, but okay, back to the steps. Don't mind me, I have ADHD and I had coffee and I'm so tired. But you know, I'm here and I'm dedicated. And I love you. Step number 4. Okay, so we identify the trigger. Number 2, sit with that fucking emotion. Name that emotion. Shine some light on that. Figure out where it's coming from. Identify the root of the problem. Step number 3, start to show yourself some love and fucking compassion. Show yourself some motherfucking love and compassion, dude. Like, we forget to love ourselves sometimes and be there for ourselves. So just be there for yourself. Be there for your inner child. Be there for yourself. Step number 4. I think I already mentioned journaling, but I really do think journaling and expressing yourself artistically can really help with the process, just getting it out there. Because, yeah, you can sit with that emotion, but you might just stew in it. It's like you need to let it the fuck out of you. And this is just my own personal process. I'm not saying you have to do this, but it works for me when I want to do it. Write it out, draw it out, talk with someone. Even if you're not artistic, like, do something that you can express yourself, like write a fucking song. Anything that you think would help. Do fucking finger painting. I don't fucking know. Like, anything. Write down how you're feeling and burn that piece of paper. You need to let it the fuck go. And step number 5, like, after you feel that and sit with your emotion and express yourself creatively, and you might need a mental health counselor to help you do that, or a certified specialist to work with PTSD and whatnot, but you need to let it go. You know what? I don't like that. Embrace it. You cannot push your shadow self away. Okay, yeah, rewind. Embrace it and accept yourself. That's what I meant to say. You cannot let the past, like, you can let the past go, but it will always be a part of you, whether you know it or not. You need to accept those parts of you, recognize it, and show yourself love. You need to talk about it. You can't pretend it's not there. I know it sucks to feel pain and to sit with your triggers, but I'm telling you, the moment you start to shine some light on it and start to love those parts of yourself that were abused, that were made fun of, that you think aren't good enough, it's time to stop repressing and start expressing. And to love yourself and accept all those parts of you. You need to accept yourself exactly how you are. Nobody's fucking perfect, okay? We all have insecurities. We all have things about ourselves that we dislike. For example, for me, I've had substance abuse issues from a very young age, and it's still something I struggle with to this day. Like, I'm probably going to start going to AA meetings again, because it's been really hard for me, because I want to put my artwork out there, and it's hard for me to express myself creatively and even accept myself. Like, yeah, I'm here, I'm doing a podcast, but it doesn't mean I'm fucking perfect. Doesn't mean I love myself all the time. It's an ongoing fucking journey. And you need to be gentle with yourself. You need to have compassion for yourself and bring the shadow self to light. Yeah, my shadow self, she's a real fucking partier. She's kind of a hoe. She's done a lot of fucked up shit. But you know what? She's a fucking part of me. And I wouldn't be who I am without her. And she's undergone so much pain and traumatic shit. And I love her. I love that version of me. Even it's hard. And I don't like to acknowledge it, but I love her. And I'm forever grateful to her. Because without darkness, there is no light. It's fucking yin yang. It's fucking as above, so below. Like, you need to bring the unconscious to light so you can fully accept yourself and know that it's okay to be imperfect. No one's fucking perfect. Just be yourself. Love those parts of yourself. But it starts with acknowledging the trigger, diving deep into it, what is making you feel that way, expressing yourself, loving yourself, and accepting yourself. That's basically what I've been doing, and it's been working for me. Now I'm finally starting to go after shit that's fucking important to me. After years of just thinking I'm not good enough. For accepting less than what I deserve. Because you deserve more. You deserve to be happy. And you deserve to be you. You deserve to be authentically yourself. You deserve to have the best life ever. But it all starts with healing yourself and being comfortable with being uncomfortable, if you know what I mean. So yeah, this is all I got for you. I hope this was helpful to you in some way, whoever is listening to this. Again, my name is Lilah Rhea. A little bit about me. I'm a tarot reader. I'm a psychic medium. It's weird to say that. I'm a starseed. I am a poet. I'm a musician. I'm now a podcaster. I have an OnlyFans account. Subscribe. But I'm just a fucking person. You shouldn't put yourself in a box. I want whoever's listening to this to know that you can do whatever the fuck you want to do in this lifetime. But it starts with being you and being okay with being yourself and loving yourself. All the nitty gritty parts of yourself that you don't love. Well, guess what? You are lovable. You are worthy of love. You're worthy of abundance. You're worthy of success. And now, I'm gonna go hang out with my friends. I'm a workaholic. But I love you guys. Thank you for tuning into Baddie Rising, the podcast. And I hope you join me next week for another exciting episode of where I might ramble because I have ADHD. But you know, it's all about loving myself. Fucking late. I love you guys. I hope you have an amazing fucking day. Like I said, I'm not an expert. I'm just a witch bitch. Bitch. Here to help you. I love you. You got this. We are baddies. We are rising above. I love you guys. Love yourself. Mwah. See you next week.